Well, welcome everyone to today's 60 Sponsorship Ideas in 60 Minutes event. We are so happy you are here, and we're looking forward to hearing the many great sponsorship ideas you have to offer. We appreciate you sharing your ideas with your peers, especially now as we navigate post-pandemic recovery and are working to advance our chambers and communities and maintain those essential sponsorship relationships. We had such a great time at our session last year. We just had to have an encore, and we really hope you enjoy it. I am here today with my ACCE colleagues, Emily Counts and Ellie Colt. My name is Susan McGuire, and we are going to do everything we can to make sure this event runs smoothly and that we share as many ideas as we can. If you have tech questions, please chat Ellie. Ellie will start a chat right now, and she will be able to help you with any tech types of questions. And before I introduce our judges and our sponsor and moderator for this afternoon, Jason Ebey of YGM Total Resource Campaigns, I have a few housekeeping and technical recommendations and reminders. First, we would love if you could all rename yourself with your name, first and last, and your chamber. You can do this by clicking the icon labeled participants at the bottom center of your screen. Hover over your name on the participant list on the right, click on rename, and then just type your name and chamber. Second, everyone is muted now to avoid background noise. To present an idea once we get started, you'll need to raise your hand, which you can do by clicking on the icon labeled participants again, clicking on the button labeled raise hand, and at the bottom of the window on the right-hand side of the screen. So Emily's job will be to unmute presenters in the order that their hands are raised, and then you will have a chance to present your idea. Jason will call on you, and then you can present away. We'll go into more of the logistics and timing and things like that in a few minutes. Next, we recommend that you set your viewing preference to speaker mode now and keep it there for most of the presentation. You can do this by looking at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Next to the words exit full screen will be either the words gallery or speaker. So if you see gallery, you're actually in speaker mode and you are good to go. If you see speaker, then you're in gallery mode and you want to click on the word speaker to select speaker mode. Finally, we're recording this session and we're going to be posting it and the public safe chat, which will contain a lot of information and resources as well, on our new ACCE online learning portal, and we'll have it there by tomorrow. Ellie will chat out the URL for that learning portal later on, so you are sure to have it. And you won't have to scribble furiously during the whole thing. You'll be able to see the recording or listen to the recording, see the recording, and review the chat. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our judges for today. First, we have Pammy Jamar, who is Vice President of Small Business and Events from the Huntsville-Madison County, Alabama Chamber. So Pammy, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Next, we have Katie Manley, who is Senior Director for Special Events at the Greater Omaha Chamber. Katie, welcome and thank you. And then last but not least, we have Jason Stevens, who is the Business Development Manager for the Broken Arrow Chamber in Oklahoma. So welcome, Jason, and thank you all of our judges for taking on the very difficult job of sorting through the ideas that will be presented today. Next, I would like to introduce our sponsor and moderator for the program. Jason E. Ebey, IOM, is well known in the chamber world as an expert in non-dues revenue generation. He leads chambers in total resource campaigns and is a sought-after speaker for workshops and webinars. What people might not know is that Jason is a displaced Louisianian, I don't know if I pronounced that right, living in Northwest Arkansas with his wife and 4 children. Despite having touch points in 2 colorful states, Jason's favorite place to be is in Dollywood with his family. I love Dollywood. At any given point in time, Jason is likely to be the biggest Dolly fan in the room. Now, if challenged to a pop culture trivia showdown, he would likely lose, but he could win any Southern gospel pop quiz. And unless your Golden Girls knowledge is on point, don't bother inviting him to that duel. Most importantly, Jason's knowledge about how to monetize your chamber or organization's non-dues revenue is second to none. Today's program and the prizes we will award are due to the generosity of YGM and Jason, and we truly appreciate their support. Jason, thank you so much for your sponsorship of this session and your support of the chamber industry. I will hand the program over to you now.
Well, thank you so much, Susan. It is good to just kind of be back. I mean, it's been a year since we were here last year and had such a great time, and all the ideas that were flowing kind of when we were all just still kind of sticker shocked or stunned or whatever you want to call it from COVID. And so here we're, a year later and we've tried out new things. And so I can't wait to hear of all of the wonderful examples that you all are going to bring, because it's up to you. This is a participation day without a doubt. It's not about just listening to us or listening to a speaker. I mean, I don't know about y'all, and I know we do them all the time in chambers, but I'm so sick and tired of listening to a talking head Zoom. It's not even funny. So the fact that there's inner workings and we get to hear from different people, minute at a time, 60 seconds, we'll cut you off. But it's such a great opportunity to be here. Of course, at YGM, we go across the country dealing with sponsorships day in and day out, raising chambers more money than they've really ever seen before when it comes to sponsorships, thinking about new and innovative things. So just as chambers have lived in the ripped off and duplicated world for years, I can't say we don't do the same sometimes and say, oh, do you know what this chamber is doing? I think it's good for you as well. So that's why we're excited about this. We have been part of this session, I guess, going on 5-6 years now. And I just can't imagine us not doing it because of the energy in the room. And that's all for you chamber folks. So let's kind of get down to the brass tacks of what today is going to look like. Of course, with everything, you got rules. I mean, we're a chamber, right? We've got some ideas. So when you're thinking about the idea, hopefully you've already come to today with an idea. If not, you've got a little bit to think about. But start with your name, your chamber, and your chamber size. How many members or staff size, either or both. Now, I will tell you, that starts your minute. So that's included. You have one idea for the remainder of that 60 seconds. If you don't shut up in time, I've got an annoying, that'll shut you up, hopefully. If not, I'll just step in and say, okay, it's time to be quiet in that regard. So you can give as many ideas as you want. I don't know how we have gone through this year just with one new idea. So many chambers just kind of have a long laundry list. We want to hear from all of you about all of them, but you got to get back in queue. So give one idea in 60 seconds, one idea. Don't try to sneak two in there. I'll just shut you up at the 30-second mark in that regard. But in that process, come back, raise your hand. You'll get into the queue. Emily will let me know that you're here, and we'll call you in there. So as soon as you get through, we know you've said your name, your chamber, and your size, but if you'll put that into the chat box, that way if somebody's heard something that they want to inquire about, they've got your name, and they can kind of go back to that particular point. Because, of course, there's no Q&A. There's no follow-up questions here live within the 60 seconds. We're just moving on idea to idea, but feel free to interact on chat. That's what it's all about. So if you hear an idea that you like, but you want a few more details, drop them a line in chat. Last year, there was so much great activity. That was one of the great resources post the session that everybody was looking at the chat. So use that. Any of your ideas can be related to anything sponsorship. Now, when we say that, we say a lot of times sponsorships and we think about blank sponsor at X number of dollars. And while that's great and we want to hear about it, we want to hear about all the things associated with sponsorships. So maybe it's a virtual or hybrid or in-person event that maybe you've merged together. Maybe it's taking one sponsorship that you had and going to something else in a larger capacity, whether it was maybe something that you did in the virtual world during the Zoom year that we've had, and now you're taking that to in-person. Maybe that's it. Maybe, and these are the ones that I really like, honestly. Now, I'm not a judge, so don't do it just because I like it, but I love to hear about how you're engaging with your sponsors, how you're having a relationship building during an event event or a program or afterwards, and how that kind of helps you retain them year after year. Maybe it's a specific benefit that you're giving to a sponsorship. Maybe it's not anything that's a sponsorship itself, but it's, hey, we give this blank benefit that's really cool and different to our sponsors. So maybe it's something like that. It's just anything about sponsorships at all. Feel free to use them here. Chambers only, please. This is open to all ACCE members, and we'll have a number of vendors here, but this is chamber ideas only. No vendors, please, in that particular regard. So as long as we stay within these boxes, you'll be good, and you won't get a in that particular regard. So, okay, from there, we've got a little bit more to show you, because, you know, when you're giving the idea, how do I give an idea that I really think the judges are going to do? Well, this is what they're considering. We know we've got chambers from all sizes here today, and we don't want you to think, oh, well, I only raised $10,000 on my whole event, and that's a sponsorship for a larger chamber. So transferability and scalability of the sponsorship is high on their list of what they're looking, that somebody can take that idea, no matter the size of the chamber, and implement it there in that regard. The revenue raised, it's as relation. That's why we want to know how many members that you have. What's your staff? Again, if you say I earn $10,000 off this sponsorship and you're a staff of 2 and have a membership of 200, that says something. Then if you were a staff of 40 at an 1,800 member chamber and you say you raised $10,000 on an event. So think about that. Creativity for sure. We're here all to learn and to take ideas and implement them. We've all got sponsorships of tables and other things. But make sure there's something fun and different. And of course, as always, just as on job descriptions, all the other assigned responsibilities that we sign, same thing here. They're going to be looking at different other mechanisms for what you offer there. And so when you think through all of that, and when you've got that idea, why do you want the good idea? Because there's money. Show us the money. You all will get some good money. And I think these are some nice prizes. So first place gets to take away $500, second place $300, third place $2. Now, don't be going to buy any new Jimmy Choos or anything, because they don't go to you. They go to the chamber, your chamber, as a donation back, or a community nonprofit in your community. So it's not personal, but you're representing here. And isn't that what we do as chamber execs? So with that, I think I have covered all of those, to-dos, and making sure this is fair as fair can be. And so we're just going to really get to some ideas in that particular aspect. If you haven't got to gallery view, this is when I would tell you, well, not gallery view, speaker view. This is when you're going to be able to do it. So you're going to raise your hand. Emily's looking at you. She's going to be texting me. So if I'm looking off, I've got a couple of screens. You all know how you have become producers in this new COVID world. And I'm going to call you. You've got it. Not a lot of introductions. You just go at it, and we're going to have some fun. So we've already got the first one. See, I like that. Let's snap on it. Let's get ready. So Izzy West, come on in and let's chat. Y'all don't have to worry about unmuting yourself. Emily's going to take care of that. So let's go have some fun. Izzy, what you got?
So for those that don't know, you can raise your hand at the bottom of the bar. You see reactions, and you'll click on that to raise your hand. But with that being said, I'm Izzy West. I'm with the Little River Chamber in South Carolina. We have 300 members and 3 staff, and I have probably told this to many people before, but I still really love it, is a Facebook Live sponsor. I have a chamber member that pays me $500 a year, and all I do is tag his Facebook page and put his logo on every ribbon cutting live video. And I specifically tell him only ribbon cuttings, which means I can get additional sponsors for other types of events and other types of videos, so that I break even with him. And he's paid me 2 years in a row despite COVID. So I really don't want to raise the price on him. But for me, it's $500. I break even because I use Switcher Studio. There are cheaper options out there, but I just really like that one. So right now we're breaking even, but any additional sponsors with, again, those different video types, different event types, is just going to be extra money for us, just to give them a little bit of notice and visibility.
Perfect. You timed that just right. You rehearsed. But diversification of sponsorships. I love that. Love that. April Bragg's the next one up. Again, be raising your hand. You can do it while they're talking because Emily's bringing them in. But April, go ahead.
Thanks, Jason. April Bragg, Robbins Regional Chamber. We have 750 members and 5 staff positions. I'm pitching Facebook groups. Y'all hear me out. We started a positive page for our community last year, and through this online platform, we're able to connect people and local businesses, highlight charitable needs in the community, and promote events and activities taking place in the surrounding area. Our group, Robbins to Go, now 20,000 members strong, is the go-to resource for the 411 in the 478, offering recommendations and all kind of things. We've been able to monetize this platform through presenting sponsors, pin posts, promotional videos, business interviews, and more. In fact, we've already spun off 2 additional groups, one called Robbins Works, connecting employers and job seekers, and another for C-level executives called Boss. To date, we have raised $30,000 in non-due sponsorship and gained 80 new members, which has been also a phenomenal retention tool for that 80+% of our members that don't come to chamber events.
Great. Good job. Love spinoffs. I mean, that's what we're talking about. More diversification there. So, and 30,000, who can shake a stick at that? So, Josh Suter, come on in.
Hey, Josh Suter with the Chamber of St. Matthews in Louisville, Kentucky. We're 1,300 plus members with 3 staff. The program I'm going to push is our annual meeting. We took it virtual in 2021. And what we did is it was a movie theme. And so we sent boxes out to members. And we had one sponsor who had their logo all over the box. And then they got to include a promo item. That promo item happened to be a confetti popper. But the best part about this is they had a movie trailer at the start of our annual meeting to tease who they are and what they do. And we've now transitioned them from this event onto a movie series that we're launching here in a couple of weeks. And they are going to have another movie trailer to kick that event off. So we've been able to basically get 2 sponsorships out of them for the price of basically 1. So that's pretty much what we have.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And even under time there. But I mean, the first 3, do y'all hear about this? Sponsorships growing other sponsorships. Now, this is what I'm talking about, a session. Rather than just one idea, you're power packing them in because isn't that what sponsorships is all about? So I know as you all have had Zooms throughout the year and you learn people come right at the beginning and then they trickle in. We've had some more join us since. So all you're doing is raising your hand, and Emily with ACCE sees that, sends us, I'll call you in and you have 60 seconds. So with that, this is all interactive, people. Trust me, you don't want to listen to me for the next 40 minutes. So I know you all have ideas. You all have great opportunities. So raise those hands, get in here to discuss some sponsorship opportunities. There's a number of you on here. If you all just raise your hand, we all got one for the rest of the time. So don't be shy. Come on in. You saw 3 of them up, 3 down. Very easy. That's like a baseball analogy, isn't it, or something? I don't know. I don't do sports. 3 up, 3 down. That sounds something good. So in that particular aspect, who is next? Otherwise, I'm just going to start calling names and you're just going to be on the spot. Now, one thing we did not say early on, we all love hiding behind a black screen with white letters. We've all gotten used to it. And as chamber people, you all know you are talking bad about your members when they do it. It's like, hello, I'm here. I want to see some faces. You all are here. It's all chamber people. So see each other. It's okay if you're in your car. It's okay if you got your dog in your face. I did a webinar for 3 state chamber associations yesterday, and I had a kid bust right through that door, and we just had to deal with it. We've learned how to adapt. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're outside with your hair pulled up or a baseball cap on and in the garden. It's fine too. We'll just talk bad about you because we wish we were there with you. So regardless if you keep it on the whole time, when you absolutely give an idea, we definitely want to see your face or they are knocking some points off. So I see you, Carrie. Why don't you come on in and give us your idea?
All right, so I am a brand new chamber member, director, only been here for a few months. And we have 500 members and 2 full-time staff. And we have the Leveling Up podcast, which is a podcast that our members can be on. We have sponsorships for the podcast. And it's also brought in new members as well, because people want to be guests on the podcast. So it is, revenue generating, and it's educational. So people, tune in and listen. It's done through Facebook Live, and one of our members of the Disruption Network runs that. We have the logos run across the bottom of the screen. We have, the opening sponsor and closing sponsors as well. So lots of opportunities to grow that. Right now it's bi-weekly. We finished our first season this ending up tomorrow is our first season, and then we'll relaunch it again in the fall. So it's limited opportunity. So people want, something that's very limited and engaging, and people can then be on the podcast as well.
Absolutely. That's with 2 seconds to spare. I stopped before you got, but great. And brand new. We all send our support and hugs and comfort, because we remember those early years in our chamber world. And so what I would tell you is take advantage of all of it. You want a new idea? This is the time to implement it, because you are in that honeymoon phase. So use it. But awesome idea in that regard. Thank you so very much. And yes, I did say something a while ago about cameras. It wasn't to deter you. I do know some people don't have cameras, and that just absolutely works. So if you don't have a camera, you can still share your idea. We still want to hear from you in that aspect. What I love about the 4 ideas now that we have heard from is, I remember back in the chamber world when none of these would have been possible, because we didn't have the technology for it. We didn't have the social media for it. There were days that, none of this would have been possible. So just in my a little over 2 decades in the industry, all of this has changed. And that's the beauty of our industry. Not only does it change over the course of 2 decades, it changes the course in a year. Who would have thought we were doing some of the things that we're doing now just a year ago? It just kind of pushed that out there. So I know some of you are here with pens and you're wanting to copy down. You know what? You probably have something that somebody else wants to. So with that, we want to hear from you in that particular process. Again, we've got a number of y'all on here. You also know how this works, because we have been in Zoom now for a long time, and people love social. How many of you are getting more viewers on your replays than you are your actual live events? It's just the way people are. It happens. So we know it's going to be the same here, but I see Izzy's coming back with the second idea. And hey, not only can you bring in multiple ideas, but 2 gives her a better chance at winning some of that money, because we also don't have any exclusion factor on maybe her ideas might win 2 of the prizes. And so she's really racking up for her community. But you come right on here, Izzy, and give us another good idea.
I just don't like to say anybody, but I just want somebody to have their hands raised. I'm trying to help fill space. So my other one is also video. There is a website called Chamber Speak. It's through Michelle West. You can buy a package of 12 done-for-you videos for $200. We got a video sponsor for $500, and she adds their logo onto it for us. And then I just upload them to Facebook and YouTube. And so we make a net profit of about $300, plus we get basically free video content.
Hey, you can't beat that any way around it. 1, you're getting new content. 2, you're getting a sponsor. 3, you're making money off of it. Always the reason we have sponsorship, people. Money, money, money. And then she's not having to do the work. She's gotten somebody else to do the work to make some money. I mean, that's a more than a trifecta. I don't know how many good positives that is, but it's all check, 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 check. So that works. April, come back in.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't get asked to unmute. So April Bragg, Robbins Regional Chamber, 750 members, 5 staff members. speaking about the second group that I talked about, just because I think we all know that workforce is the new pandemic, right? So we started both a group and a dedicated Facebook page and video series called Robin's Works, born out of the pandemic as a platform to connect employers and job seekers, share industry trends, and provide access to resources for career opportunities. We have a presenting sponsorship for this initiative to the tune of 10 grand a year. And we partner with a staffing agency. So every month, in addition to providing great content in our Facebook group, they also do a live focused on timely and relevant workforce related issues.
Wonderful, wonderful. And again, below time, woo. And what I will say, again, it's about adding sponsorship. She had one, it grew another. So it's not necessarily, it's kind of how we've always said in the chamber world, find something and then just replicate it because it's easy instead of trying to create new. It's what you can do with your sponsorships at your events. And I'm going to call out one here because I see it in the chat. Sometimes I can watch chat and sometimes I can't because y'all know production and, I kind of need like 5 screens and all of that, but she doesn't have a camera or a microphone. So I want to call her out because I think it's a great idea. It's one of my favorite of all time, honestly. She says, for your events that need a porta potty, find a bank to sponsor the porta potties and put signs on the inside and outside saying, make your deposit here with the bank's logo. Think that is ingenious. What I love about porta potty sponsors or potty sponsors, we're kind of known of telling this story all the time, but it really diversifies your sponsorship pool. And that's what I would tell you in all of this as you're listening to ideas. And those of you that have ideas, be raising your hand so you can get in our little thread. Josh is about to come up with another one I see. But when you are doing it about a diversification of sponsorships, it's about also diversifying who can access that, who finds benefits. Because honestly, your sponsorship should always be about a reach to a desired target market. And so when you have potty sponsors, you can not only think about a bank, that's great, make your deposits here, but urologists and janitorial supply companies and occupational medicine companies, because they do drug testing. Some of those businesses that typically don't sponsor fit there. Plumbers are great. Absolutely. You don't typically have plumbers sponsoring a whole lot of things. One of my favorite was a chamber who got a cell phone repair company for a porta potty sponsor. She was so excited. She said, they say they take them in, but they don't take them out. I was a little blonde and I didn't get it there for a minute. Well, people were dropping their phones in a porta potty and then calling the company to repair them. Now, I don't know about her and where she was, but I will tell you this. If I dropped a phone in a porta potty, cell phone repair company is not who I'm calling. I'm calling a new store to get a new phone. I ain't going in there. Some people, I guess, are a little bit more attached to their phone than I am. But a potty sponsor at a golf tournament, I might go in after that one, smaller area to diffuse in that regard. So good ones there. Josh, you come on in and give us a second idea.
Okay, so Josh with the Chamber of St. Matthews, 1,330 members, 3 staff. My next idea is related to our diversity, equity, and inclusion series. We had a bank come forward and say, hey, we'll give you $3,500 to be the title sponsor. We're going to use part of that money to become the supporting sponsor and donate it to a local nonprofit. And then because they gave us all that money and because they were so invested in the program, we gave them a seat in the planning of the event. So they helped generate speakers for the program. The bank president co-moderated the event, which saved me from having to track down more people to moderate. And we still banked all $3,500 because with it being a virtual event, I had no fees associated to it. So basically I got $3,500. I got a moderator and I got 4 speakers off of 1 sponsorship.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I think diversification is our word today. I mean, wow. I love that in that particular process. And, those remind me all of those benefits. He said because they were that sponsor, they got to help plan. Sometimes you might want to promise that in a sponsorship benefit list. Sometimes not. Over deliver that. If you look at a presenting sponsor and it's somebody that you know or that you have a relationship with or that you trust, it doesn't have to be listed to do that, but bring them in and let them feel part of that energy of planning that event and spending their money in a way that helps kind of drive their market. So that's always a good option there. So we need some more people in the queue. So I know you are there. I know you have an idea. It's okay to feel a little, but what I will share with you, I'm going to go ahead and throw one out there myself in that it's a sponsorship benefit thought process. For some of you that might have larger festivals or maybe a larger women's event or a larger expo, we're talking about maybe thousands of people and some of your top sponsorships. Have you thought about using the presenting sponsor's logo to kind of pixelate in a lot of the pictures of the event and make that interactive on social? People want to click and see their pictures. And if they're now clicking your sponsor's logo to see their pictures, you're really kind of driving a target market to that particular aspect. So a lot of apps out there to do that and pixelate a logo. But the more interactive you can make it for your sponsor, the better. So Izzy, I think you've got another one. So come right on in.
This is just basically an epiphany. It's not really an idea, but I was always really jealous of watching other people do kind of what I consider like radio contest and where they would give away a cash prize. They're like, how do you get $100, to give away? And then finally somebody on another chamber call was like, oh, well, we just get a sponsor and they covered and we take the money and then we give it over here. And I just was like, oh, that's so easy. So pro tip, I guess, don't overthink stuff and just talk it out with your fellow chamber people.
Hey, great opportunity for ideas, just hashing it through in that particular process for sure. So good one there. Okay, who's next? Who is next on the list? I do see some names. The only bad thing is I could call on you, but you would still stay silent because you're behind the black screen. I don't have your face to really, call your name and then just kind of look at you until we're quiet. Otherwise I'd just start calling names at random and put you on hello, I'm going to call on you. But we have a number of people on the call. So I would tell you if you don't think it's a good idea, what I would tell you is offer up what is your largest sponsorship item that you sell at your chamber. We all sell sponsorships. So think about the largest, maybe you have 2 or 3 that's at the top dollar amount, and talk to us about what that is. Maybe a benefit that they get. Why is it so much at that particular item? Think through that. But those are always kind of some different ones in those particular processes. It's quiet, people. This is when we need some Jeopardy music and make them think about it in that particular process. We'll write that down for next year. Some Jeopardy music in that thought process. But what other ideas do you have at your chamber? Do. Somebody, anybody. See, I can't even stay quiet to make it uncomfortable. It comes right on out. Here it comes. Well, I'll give you another one. And it's something that I don't think I would have never offered this at this particular meeting because I would have thought it is and surely everybody does it. But I can tell you, being around the country, not everybody does it. And I think it is some money you are leaving on the table like crazy. And I would tell you, are you doing some type of registration sponsor at your events? Now, you can call it registration sponsor. You can call it guest services. In the South here, we'd probably call it Southern hospitality sponsor. I know April does that at her chamber. Anything, but really what it's about is one, for some chambers that need some staffing help at some of the events, then you can allow them the opportunity to staff your registration table. Now you go, well, who would want that? Well, think about it. Think about every one of you. If I told you to close your eyes and think about the company that's always in their logoed wear, there's always 3 or 4 of them together at every event you go to in town, and they're just kind of always there. You all would tell me most of the time it's either a group of bank employees, maybe an insurance, maybe a realtor company. It's those type of kind of service providers that typically do that. And yes, they will pay you to work. Now, I just can't tell you how much awesome that is. Pay to work. Okay, I'll do that all day, every day. But it's the perception. When you are doing sponsorships, if you are just doing what I call the law of fives, where you're just going 250, 500, 750, 1,000, 1,500, 2,500, 5,000, 7,500, 10, I mean, we begin to sound like an auctioneer. If that's the way you're pricing your sponsorship, I hate to tell you, but you're pricing it all wrong. Your members see that as an aspect of all other nonprofits. And so they begin to see just because you're pricing, they equate it to a donation, no matter what the benefit is. If you change your pricing sometimes, it's how they price every day to their products and services. Supply and demand dictates their cost. And so you've got to look different than other organizations in your pricing. But when you do that, it's about the perception that they get. So when I'm selling a registration sponsor, what I am selling to that person in their mind is that I get to see everybody that walks in that door, and I get to see them first. Whether or not it's actual or not, you're selling the perception. So many times people will see that, and let's say that you have sponsorships ranging anywhere from 500 to 5,000 for an event. They'll go, oh, well, we'll do that one for $750. What? Again, giving away money, perception that they get to see everybody. Should be a higher priced sponsorship in that thought process. They get to interact at the table. Maybe you might be a control freak like I was a bit back in the day, and I didn't want people touching my registration table. I had my people trained. I had my staff there, but you could still give them the opportunity to interact with the guests as they register. Maybe you're using their pins and their logoed stuff in that regard. Think about that. It's easy money, honestly, and you're not doing anything different. You're just finding components to your programs and events and initiatives and putting it there. Maybe it's not a separate sponsorship, but maybe it's a benefit to a presenting sponsorship if you're needing to up that cost a bit. So just food for thought there, I would offer you in that particular process in case you're not doing that. Who else? Who else has an idea? Wait, I see something in the chat. So again, she didn't have it. They are using QR codes that link to a video interview for their top sponsors on the back of their community guide and visitor guide. So that's Crystal Wagner from the Blairsville Chamber. Great idea. And from the top sponsors, then going over to the community guide visitor center, back to a video interview. We're kind of all being seamless in those particular aspects there. So good idea. Thanks for sending that, Crystal. I need to look at this chat more often. Sorry, I get to talking and looking and all of that. We've got another person raising their hand, Michelle McInnes. Come on in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my name is Michelle McInnes. I'm with the Chamber Southwest in Southwest Louisiana. Yay, Louisiana.
Absolutely.
So that's Lake Charles, the Lake Charles area. And we hold an annual event called Legislator. And we invite all of our legislators who just finished their session to Lake Charles. And we have an award event. And so our sponsorships are statewide. So many of them are not members. So this is extra money. And then the sponsors get to have certain legislators at their table, so they get face-to-face time with the legislators that they want, and so it's a lot of sponsorship money from around the state that we don't normally get.
Absolutely, oh, love that. And I have to say, being in Louisiana, I've been to Legislator many a time in my life back in the day, and she's right. I mean, as you all should geographically know, Louisiana is a boot. I mean, hello, it is what it is. It's an odd shape, but she's right. She's capitalizing from all the other regions, different dollars that she wouldn't just get from kind of a local event. So sometimes it's just that first one out. Why would you say Lake Charles gets all that money from all around? Because they were the first ones to do it. And once you're the first ones to do it, you kind of get a claim on it. Nobody else can come in. So sometimes thinking about the diversification aspect of not only what you're selling, but who you're selling to and reaching out. That is, I will tell you, in Louisiana, people talk about Legislator for a while before and after. So you might want to think through that. And it's tied to politicians. Anytime, I don't care what small chamber you've got and how big chamber you've got, there is money for access. And I will be honest with you, when it comes to politicians, it's all about the perception thereof, the access to. Many times people that are best friends with politicians are already on their campaign donor list, are the top sponsors, and people question all the time, why do they do that? Because they don't want to give up that access to anybody else. So they will claim it. So good example there. We have another one in the chat. Laura, I'm not going to butcher your last name. So we're just going to say Laura from Wilmington. She says, in addition to the hospitality sponsor, parking sponsors are also great. They cover the cost of parking passes and make unique passes for the table. A candy store gives away chocolate bars with the parking passes once inside. So, you know, absolutely. When you're thinking about an event, think about all aspects. So whether you have to walk far or just the parking garage, people will like those particular opportunities there. So making sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Okay. I'm getting a warning. We are getting close to wrapping up this session. A lot of good ideas. We're not at 60 yet. We could move on along. I know you've got some more to go in that particular process. So who else has an idea? You raise your hand. Think about it really hard. It's like, you know, it's the last minute. Do I move? Do I not? Do I speak now or forever hold my peace? You be thinking about your idea, because we got another one in the chat. They do a Friday morning Facebook Live, give updates of the weekend's events, and offer a Friday freebie from our sponsor. So I don't know where that particularly is, but that I see really great if you are a hospitality or tourism related area, a good opportunity to do there. It says, in quotes, if you are watching this video and head over to Cabin Coffee before 10 a.m., you'll get a free coffee. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that kind of freebie. I was thinking like a 10% off freebie. Free coffee, I'd go. It just gets more people heading into their store during that time frame. So kind of a sponsorship attached to kind of the cash mob thought process. I really, really like that in that thought process. So I am being told we have a 5-minute warning. This is the time for you to give the last bit before the judges go off to award, in case you were a little late to the show. $500 first prize, $300 second prize, and $200 last prize. That's not money to shake a stick at. That's money to go fight for. Roll up them sleeves and give us some good ideas that you might have. See how well it just changes from potty sponsors to morning freebies to getting all the legislators together in the state. We get money off of everything because that's what we chamber people do. We find value, and probably the biggest thing that I get asked all the time when it comes to sponsorships, and we're watching hands. So if you want to hear me shut up, raise your hand. That's the way that works. Okay. But when it comes to sponsorships, I think chambers lose the perspective that sponsorship should always be about access to target markets. As a chamber, you have access to varied, multiple target markets, whether it's just the small business owners, whether it's HR professionals, whether it's the masses at large if you're in a tourism community, whether it is just consumers, whether that's the employees of your businesses, whether it's just the restaurant segment. when we think about that, we talk about that day in and day out at the chamber. What programs are we going to get to satisfy our members? But I would tell you, that's what you're selling in sponsorship. That's where your sponsorships need to be redirected, need to be put back, because it's all about access to that market. And if you're not tying sponsorships to that, they're not seeing it as a business tool to grow their business. They're seeing it as a donation, and it's not going to be as solid in their budget year in and year out. We have a big one in the chat. So I'm going to say that for those that are going to be watching the replay is why I'm reading some of those in chat. They have that in that particular process, but it's also, by the time I get through reading this, this will be your kind of final call, last call, they say. So if nobody's raising their hand at the end of this, we're going to send our judges to break out and they're going to come back with a decision. But this is Laura from Wilmington. She says they are coordinating a minority enterprise development week this year. Love the title already. They have raised, get ready, $22,000 so far. The companies are writing them checks, the chamber, for sponsorships and submitting program proposals for speakers, topics, and content while covering all the event costs. So that's a triple threat. Not only are they writing checks for sponsorships, but the only way that they're getting program opportunities is by being a sponsor, and then it covers all the costs. So the chamber is the marketing and making the name tags, all of that stuff for the week-long event. They're going to have 35 event programs. The chamber is the only one organizing the event. So $22,000. What an opportunity there in those particular regards. So Emily, am I missing any hands that I don't see after that one? Okay, some of you judges, don't forget those that weren't able to say it, but I read it on chat. Those still count as well as opportunities. I know you've been writing that down. So Emily, we're going to throw them, get ready to just chunk them out of here to breakouts. They're going to go and deliberate. And then the rest of us are going to chat a little bit in that particular process as we look. Are they all gone? They're getting there. I see a couple still here. So we want them to be gone and focused while we all are going to be talking about some other stuff. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs up there. In the process of, well, what do we do now while they go talk? Well, we could all go away and come back. Yeah, like that ever happens. Do you create breaks in your Zoom meetings at the Chamber World? No, because nobody else would come back. So we're going to keep going. So, you know, if you have to potty, just hold on just a little bit longer to go make that bank deposit. But in the process of it, I get the opportunity to talk a little bit about what YGM does here, you know, because we have you captive, because I know you're not going anywhere because you want to know if you made some money. So, you know, that's where you sneak in a sponsor in that particular aspect. But we do total resource campaigns, and I'm sure many of you know about them or have heard about them. Maybe you have done some part of them throughout the years, but honestly, it's a sponsorship drive. Instead of constantly getting sponsors throughout the year, you get them during a designated period of time. And it's kind of wrapped then in a strategic plan. And that's the beauty that I like about it. It's not just about raising your money. Part of what we do is prior to the campaign and actually raising the dollars, we're sitting with you and looking at everything you do. Where are you maybe leaving some registration sponsor money on the table? Where can you elevate some others? But the biggest aspect, and I would say this regardless of if you do a total resource campaign or not, we really apply the business, for-profit business model to your not-for-profit sponsorship goals, because we are a business organization as a chamber. You have to think about that. We are a business and we are a business organization. If we are trying to talk to our members without what they say day in and day out and what they do day in and day out, they're not looking at us in the right light. Also, we're not getting the competitive market that they get. You know, just yesterday, we were walking in Sam's Club, and I walked in the very first, you know, just the doors, and immediately saw a 6-pack of hand sanitizer on sale for $1. And so I stopped and I took a picture of it. My daughter said, "What are you doing?" I said, if that's not an example of supply and demand, I don't know what is. You know, that exact same thing was going for $14, $15 back in the heyday of COVID. Now they're trying to get rid of it for $1. Supply and demand has dictated that. If your sponsorships aren't doing the same, now I don't want you to drop anything to $1. If you're selling something for $1, get rid of it. It ain't worth it. But you understand the value aspect. If your sponsorships are just the same, if you're just kind of relatively increasing them maybe every couple of years, the market's not telling you truly what their value is. When you put that competitive market on it, you really get that supply and demand issue. So when you allow only a couple of sponsors to get a certain level, or maybe even one to a certain level, and then you're being able to get the information that your businesses price their products and services in and day out. And so that's the beauty of what we get to do. We get to come into communities and see that and kind of put that into place. And then that supply and demand with a competitive market pushes chambers year in and year out in kind of raising those sponsorship dollars. And so that's kind of where we get to hear a lot about sponsorships and kind of go in and find unique ones through the process as it develops and as it comes forward. And part of what I would say is, and I think I've seen this more in the last year with COVID, is make sure you're not giving away your social. Make sure that you're also not segmenting it so much to a point where you're getting a sponsorship for a social component, but you've actually kind of cut your nose off to spite your face. Because while those are components that you can put dollars to, what you don't want to do is now be pigeonholed into making that sponsorship work that you could have put a benefit in social rather than selling it, and then increased every other level around it where you actually got more money at the end of the day. So a lot of times, just because there's a new shiny thing that you find, don't just necessarily slap $1 on it and get a sponsorship. Trust me, I'm all about getting some money. I just want to get the most money. So in that particular process, when you just go put $1 on it, if you just take a minute to say, okay, well, if it becomes a benefit for a lot of my other programs or initiatives, and I increase them X number of dollars, then collectively I can make more for that tool than I would if I just sponsored that. So whether it's video, whether it's social, whether it's Facebook, whatever that might be careful in a lot of these developing tools that you don't kind of pigeonhole yourself into kind of making bottom dollar, but that you can access it for a leverage of higher dollar in that particular process. So I just give you that 2 cents for what it's worth, and hopefully it's worth 2 cents in that particular aspect as we look forward. But I do, before they come back, I do want to say thank you for taking your time and sharing with us, and really sharing beyond, because as Susan mentioned earlier, ACCE will be giving this and kind of giving y'all a recap of all of that. YGM will have a list of all of the ideas that were given on our blog site, on our website. So we'll be getting all of that to you. So don't worry if you didn't take feverish notes. We've got the names and the chambers that you can go look up with their ideas so that you can make it easy for you. We got somebody in the chat. Yay, somebody's still alive out there. That makes me happy. Kristen says, thanks so much. She has no camera and mic, but enjoyed all of these ideas. So glad she got some value out of that. It is such a great opportunity to share. I remember my very first chamber conference. I was 21. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what I was not doing about life, much less running a chamber. I mean, at 21, please. And so in that process, my very first thing, Michelle was going to LACY, the Louisiana Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. And back then, I mean, we're talking nearly 20 years ago, it was definitely male, pale, and stale. They were all old. They were all a club. And here comes this young whippersnapper with blonde tipped highlights. So what's a chamber do? Let's change some things up. And I remember kind of a look at them, but then they embraced me and they really brought me in to say, this is what chambers do. Because I had the biggest question mark. I didn't know what chambers did. I went to that conference probably 2 weeks in. And so in that particular process, That's what we developed. That's what we found. And that's what all this has been about. It's what ACCE provides day in and day out. And I would tell you, we were with some state associations yesterday, and they were talking about this program. And they were like, well, we want to see it, but we're not ACCE members. Why? That's the question. Why? I don't care the size of the chamber. There was always value at ACCE. So, for those of you, you all have surrounding chambers. You all are getting benefit from here today. Just ask your fellow chambers around you. Are you a member of ACCE? If not, why? Because this is what I get out of it. And so it was always something that was immediately in my budget, even though my budget was not over $10,000 collectively for the chamber in that first chamber. Okay. So we want to talk about small budgets. That also tells you how much I was worth, because I was getting paid out of that $10,000 and I didn't take it all. So, you got to know my first salary in that particular aspect, but a lot of value in just the networking and the sharing. And for maybe some of you, I remember one of you said, I'm brand new here. Don't feel hesitant at all about reaching out to anybody's name here that has given an idea. They will definitely give you any details that you want to know. That is what this industry is all about. It is so interesting for us to hear from chamber professionals who are brand new to the industry and have been in all these different work professions, and they go, like, y'all share secrets. We're like, well, yeah, how else do you do it? And they're like, the corporate world, we don't tell nobody nothing. Like, it is lockdown world. And they're so surprised at how sharing our organization is. And so one of the reasons that I'm still here, I guess it's okay to say these decades later, because it's actually true. I thought, well, that makes me sound old. Well, I kind of am. In the process. So that what I would give you. I will also share, I think they're wrapping up a bit. So, sometimes just in chamber, in life, we get some funny stories because of what we have experienced. So I will tell you, no matter what your chamber is going through, know that it's probably worse somewhere else. And you're doing the best you can. That's all you can do. And don't feel bad about that. In my very first chamber, we had 33 members when I took it over. So yeah, it shouldn't have probably even been a chamber at the point. We had 3 board members who were over 80. And we had a part-time executive director who was sleeping with all of them and embezzling $6,000 of our $10,000. So we got rid of her real quick because they asked me to be chair of the board because one of the 80-year-olds were sunsetting. We'll just put it that way. So that's how I found my way into the chamber world. I felt like we were between As the World Turns all the days of our lives. And here we are still through these days. So, but I see judges' faces and I see smiles. So, Miss Susan, I'm going to let you take it away. You know the order to call them out and all that fun stuff.
Okay, well, I'm going to call on Katie first to announce number 3, third place.
Third place, which I believe is $200. Jason, am I correct?
You are?
Third place, Josh with the St. Matthews Chamber.
For what idea?
For the DEI event where you had one of your sponsors serve on the planning team, and we just loved that it was tied in with your mission, and you're incorporating the sponsors and the planning, giving them a little stake in the game. So awesome job!
Great job!
Great job, Josh. So I will call on Jason Stevens for number 2.
All right, and the second place $300 winner this year was Crystal from Blairsville Chamber. The Facebook Friday Facebook Live, I think she called it, where she gets to basically let everybody know what's going on over the weekend. I feel like being able to position yourself as, kind of that resource for the community would bring a lot of people to your site, as well as kind of incorporating the Friday freebies and getting people into the store to promote shopping local is great.
Absolutely. Congrats. And I know she was one using the chat feature, so we can't see her reaction, but I can imagine, if she was driving, we hope she pulled over because I'm sure the excitement was just too much to bear. So good job there.
Okay, and drum roll. Pammy is going to announce the grand prize winner.
Okay, so the grand prize winner, it is right, Susan. We need a drum roll. Something. $500.
5 big ones.
Stackaroos. The winner is April Bragg with the
Woo!
Robin. Great job, April. We really love your Facebook with your Facebook. Oh, I love those with the Facebook groups. You know, you talked about different issues, timely workforce issues. As we know, that's what everybody is going through right now. And it's really cool to have a community that exactly targets on that, and people can have conversation, because that's where collaboration and things start to happen.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate that.
Yay. Well, congratulations to you all for sharing an idea or even taking away a nugget. Hopefully you found something to take away. What I would also challenge you to do is, this has kind of become a standing ACCE thing. And I would imagine next year we might be in person in a room together. Who knows how it'll work, but we're going to put it out there. So you've got a whole year to be making a file. You think it's a good idea, you see it, put it in. So when you get ready to come see us face to face next year, we're ready to go, and we got a line at that microphone, because guess what? We'll be in person next year, so I can loiter over you or huddle you to a mic, or who knows how that works. But hopefully we've all begun to walk away as winners today, because hopefully we got an idea that we can implement in our chamber, to change our budget, maybe to change what our scope of work is in the chamber, and most importantly, to change our business members. I was with a group of chamber execs in Indiana last week, and I told them, I said, you know, I think sometimes we forget why we're here in the chamber world. Sometimes maybe we don't even see the big picture. But at my very first chamber, you know, that small one that I just told you, as the world turned every day for all the days of our lives, I had an employee run up to me while we were doing a ribbon cutting that honestly we had nothing to do with bringing them to town, but we were cutting the ribbon, and they assumed that we brought this store to town. And they said, you know, Mr. Ebey, thank you so much, because my dinner table is going to look different tonight. And I kind of looked at them, and they said, you know, I get a job now. I haven't had a job for a year. And where we were, it was a distance to go to the next community over. And now I have a job. So literally, we're going to be able to eat differently tonight. And that has always been my go back to, that no matter what we do, no matter the events that we plan, the groups that we create in social media, no matter what we're doing, we are truly affecting people's dinner table. And if we can make it to where our businesses can just add one more job, yeah, the 1,000 jobs are nice, the Amazon distribution centers are nice, the call centers are nice, all of that, because it's mass. But if we can add one more business to change their dinner table, it's worth every event that we do. It's worth every sponsorship we create. So just kind of focus on that today. Be proud of what you do for a work that you probably will never see the results of. So with that, Susan, I'll let you take it away and close out today.
Thank you, Jason. And congratulations to all winners and wonderful ideas. Thanks to all of you for taking the time to listen, take down information, and take it back to your chambers. And as Jason said, you guys are doing wonderful work, impactful work, important work, and we are really proud to be serving all of you here at ACCE. So let's see here. What do I have? I have, where do you find the recording? So to find the recording and the chat log, this will be posted on our brand new online learning portal, and Ellie will circulate the URL to that. You can find that there. Just click and you'll find the recording and the slides and all the info. So it will all be there. Before I say goodbye, I just want to say thank you again to our sponsor and moderator, Jason Ebey and YGM Total Resource Campaigns, for your generous sponsorship of the program, for the prizes that were awarded. And you can learn more about Jason and YGM on any of the information, the notes that we have on this slide, their website, their Facebook page, and so on. So please get in touch with Jason for more great ideas and help for chambers. So thanks everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. And hopefully next year we will see you in person.